Well, good morning, my friend. Welcome to the Pastor's Podcast. Good to have you with me on this Tuesday morning. And it's going to be a very nice, comfortable 70-degree day today here in the Oklahoma City area, high 70s. Supposed to be 79 on Thursday. I think 81 on Friday, unless it moves up a little bit. I didn't check the weather today, but looking forward to a great Christmas time. And of course, tomorrow night, Christmas Eve service here at the Maranatha Baptist Church. And I hope wherever you are, you're faithful to church during the midweek service. If your church cancels the midweek service because of Christmas, you might ought to consider another church. You don't cancel church. You just don't do that. What if somebody walked in? I have people here in our church because their church canceled and they came to ours. They liked ours, so they stayed. I'm just telling you, churches are hurting themselves. We're in a battle for the soul of America, and we've got pastors feeling like they need to cancel everything. And one day they're going to wake up and we will have lost our freedoms, and you're going to be griping and complaining when it's really the pastor's fault because he just kind of made it sound like church is not that important. It is important, and we ought to have church. And you be faithful to the services now. If your pastor is going to keep church going, then you ought to be there. Don't worry about the size of the crowd. You be there, and let's all have a great service here on Wednesday night. Great day yesterday, out soul winning. I had a good time yesterday afternoon. I went with my son-in-law and one of our college students. He's going home today. And he went with us. All of us saw someone saved. And then I went back out last night with one of my assistant pastors, Brother Sandy Harjo, was able to see somebody else saved. And just caught up with somebody, hadn't been in church in a while. They're promising to come back to church. And always like being able to keep on moving, keep on trying. That's what we've got to do. It don't happen, but ladies and gentlemen, by accident. We've got to do it on purpose. And that's what God will reward if we stay faithful doing that. I want to talk to you today about the end of compromise. What's the end road? Where does it lead to? That's what I'm talking about. In Ezra chapter 5, verse 12, it says, "But after that, our fathers had provoked the God of heaven under wrath. He gave them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, the Chaldean, who destroyed this house and carried the people away into Babylon." Compromise promises so much, but tears down everything it gets its fingers on. The Israelites thought that being like all the other nations would make them stronger and a better nation. But look at what compromise brought to them. When you read the books of Ezra and Nehemiah, you learn that compromise brought them bondage and a nation in demise. Their compromise turned the temple of God into a pile of rubbish and the wall of Jerusalem into a pile of rocks. Compromise's path is strewn with closed churches over the centuries. It's strewn with families that are in ruin and lives destroyed by sin and the lost not being saved. Compromise has never produced one winner, but it has left the road littered with great works of the past that are closed down because they thought the old paths were outdated. Let me take you on a little journey. Can I do that? Let me show you some of the places where compromise started and where they ended up. I want to first of all take you to Northern California to see a thriving church that ran thousands in the little city of Redding. It was the North Valley Baptist Church. A new pastor came in after the man who built that church retired. This new pastor thought that there was a better way to build a church. My cousin used to go to that church. Well, today, that church has closed its doors. How did it happen? Well, how did compromise work out for them? Well, it closed them down. That church is no longer in existence. Let's take another ride. Let's go down the road. Let's go down south to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Let's see the great Highland Park Baptist Church. The church that God used Dr. Lee Robertson to build into a soul-saving station that ran thousands every Sunday in Sunday school. Oh, I'm sorry. We can't go to that church. It's closed down. Its college is closed down. A new guy came in, thought he knew better than the old past preacher, brought in, his name was Jennings. He brought in the NIV instead of sticking with the KJV as Dr. Robertson did. And that demise led down a road to where now the church is closed. Just a memory. A church with false doctrine now fills the buildings. The old auditorium had been burnt to the ground. Where did compromise bring them? Well, it brought them to a building and everything being a demise and closed down. Now let's take a journey from Chattanooga. Let's go up to Detroit, Michigan. Let's see the Temple Baptist Church that was once pastored by J. Frank Norris. And while we're on that trip, before we get to Detroit, let's go to Akron, Ohio. And let's look at the old Akron Baptist Temple where Dr. Dallas Billington built a church that would average 9,000, had a high day of 50,000. Let's look at that church and let's see where they are. Oh, I can tell where they are. Both of them are closed down. Both of them had men come in who thought that they knew better than the old preacher that built the church on soul winning, separation, old-fashioned preaching, running buses. And these new guys came in and changed the program, changed the methods. And today the churches are closed down. Oh, while we're in the Midwest, let's go to Pontiac, Michigan. Let's go look at the great Emmanuel Baptist Church that was once pastored by Dr. Tom Malone. The great prince of preachers that would preach and stir the hearts of people as he preached, that God used to become the largest church in the state of Michigan in his day. Again, I'm sorry, we can't go there. The church is closed down. You see, the problem with this journey is we would only come to torn down buildings, and in some cases, repurposed buildings for the world's use in others. You see, all these churches have closed down that I've just mentioned, every one of them, because some new guy thought compromise would grow the church. But the only thing that it did was it destroyed the great works of God. Now, at some point, you would think that we would learn that compromise has never brought life to one church. Oh, there's some churches I could take you to today that were once pastored by great pastors, and they're still open, but boy, they've changed their whole method. They've changed their whole philosophy. You say, where are they going to end up? Oh, they'll end up either closed down or they're going to end up being a rock and roll church. You see, the only thing compromise has ever brought is a dead church. Just because you got a large crowd doesn't mean that you're a church that God's blessing. Dead bodies swell. You see, sadly, millions of souls are going to hell because some new guy got cute and he thought that the old paths didn't work and that they're irrelevant to our day. My question to the new guys is, how did it work out? I can take you to many churches. And I don't rejoice over this. I'm just telling you, it breaks my heart because we need these churches. We need these churches to stay alive. And yet some guy came in and thought that, well, that pastor was too hard and he pushed too hard. And, I want people to enjoy church. I want them to feel the worship. And, they get all this worship feely stuff. And I can take you to them today and they're closed down or they're rock and roll churches. Now, if you're considering compromise, you might ought to look to the end of the road and see where it's led others to go. Whether it's a church or a life, compromise is not a builder, it's a destroyer. Once you decide to compromise, the cancer sets in and it begins to eat away at what God wanted to do through your life. And all I'm saying is let's keep doing what we know is the right thing to do. And let's just not compromise and let's show another generation that God is real, that he's still capable of doing great works today if we will do those works in our own lives and our own ministries. I pastor the great Maranatha Baptist Church. Can I tell you, this great church, one of the reasons why it's grown to what it is because we just copied the old paths. I've not created anything new. I just copied what the old timers taught me, and we keep on doing it here. And God bless us. I look to 2026 as being the greatest year this church has ever had. I look to see great growth in 2026. Now, my friend, it's going to happen if we stick with the old paths. I would encourage you, let's stop trying to consider compromise. Well, but it's easier. Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, even if it was easier and you could succeed, you wouldn't enjoy it. You know why? You didn't work for it. There's something about working for what God gives you that brings a satisfaction, a fulfillment that the hard work brought this. The reason why so many people run to compromises because they're lazy, they don't want to work, they just want to do it the easy way. There is no easy way to building a great work for God. There is no easy way to making an impact on the lives of people. The only way we make that impact is by just working hard, staying faithful to the old paths, and God will use it to build you a great work, a great, strong work right where you are, if we just stick to what we know we're supposed to do. Well, my friend, I hope this will challenge you today to stick to the old paths, never to consider compromise. Now, let's remember today as we work throughout this day, be good to everyone. Everyone's having a tough time. Have a great day, my friend.